Oh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Um, we have seen in the last session the importance of keeping your body in a particular posture or asana and maintain the inner poise and peace while practicing meditation. We distinctly saw the difference between contemplation and concentration. Contemplation is a practice similar to that of concentration, while concentration is about focusing on something outside as an object. Even for that matter, when you have a physical form of a God or a picture of God, and focusing that is still only concentration if your attention is outside. Even chanting of Om, which is recommended in many of the meditation practices, if you are only focusing on the sound of Om, it is still a concentration. But then when you start moving from sound to silence, and similarly from the picture or the form of God which you happen to see with your eyes, and when you move on to closing your eyes and bringing that same form into your mind, any kind of inner travel that you take up from extrovertedness to introvertedness, from external perception to internal observation, you have moved on from concentration to contemplation. So meditation is an outcome of this contemplation. So if we consider contemplation as a journey, then meditation is a destination. So in this process of going through this journey of contemplation, we are basically dealing with the mind. Once the body has been set to a particular posture and sitting down quietly, the mind is the one which is now fully engaged in the practice. And therefore, what are the factors that will affect your mind, and what are the things that you need to do, what are the adjustments that you need to do, is what we are going to see in this session. First and foremost is that we need to realize the mind is also matter. According to Vedanta, the Prakriti or the power of God, which is also referred as Maya, is the creator of, is the one which creates or which appears as the entire world of matter. And broadly it is divided, the matter is divided into three categories. One is called Sattva, another is Rajas, another is Tamas. These are the three qualities of matter. So the classification of these three are very important for us to understand how and what influences our mind. And now we are going to see from Chandogya Upanishad a detailed description of what happens to the food that we eat. Before going there, we must recognize that the food converts itself into energy. And that energy is what makes our mind what it is. Associated with the past experiences, memory, knowledge, etc., most part of the mind is influenced by the food that we eat. And therefore, do not underestimate the influence of what you eat when you are engaged in or practicing in meditation. So now let us see what Chandogya Upanishad has to say about food and body. Chandogya Upanishad is a very well-known Upanishad, and it is elaborately discussing various aspects of human life, lot of teachings, especially about food. It's interesting to note that the masters of the past have thought about the quality of food that makes us live very effectively, efficiently in this world. And so they broadly classified the food into three parts. The first one is the solid food that we eat. The solid food means any kind of grain, vegetables, fruits, anything solid. They say that every food that we eat must be further divided into three parts: the gross, the medium, and the subtle. So as you see in the chart, the solid food that we eat, the gross aspect of the solid food becomes the fecus, the one which we throw away as unwanted material from our body. But this happens after the process of digestion gets completed. It is said that if you eat the food at hour 1 and hour 16 or hour 24, it depends upon your ability to digest, it takes that much hours to digest anything that you eat. Some of them are digested very fast, and some of them take its own time. Anything hard to digest will take more time, obviously. So the body holds the food for close to 16 to 24 hours. I may be wrong, you can check with the doctor. Which means the energy that you get out of the food that you take on breakfast is not instantly happens. Instant happening from the food is only sugar. If you are taking coffee or any drink that has sugar, there is an instant energy that takes place. But solid food, it doesn't immediately give you the effect. This is very important to note because you don't even know what actually disturbs you in meditation. You have to go back and see at least 18 to 20 hours before something you have done, some food that you took, that is causing the trouble. And I'll come to that later on. So the medium part of the food, solid food, converts itself into flesh according to Chandogya Upanishad. And the subtle part of the solid food becomes the mind. That which makes the mind what it is. As I said earlier, our mind is also matter. It is no doubt what we understand as thoughts, but thoughts travel on the subtle matter called mind. Or if you can call thoughts as the river, and mind is a river bed, so to say. So if the river bed is decided by the kind of food that we eat, the subtle part of the food that we eat. So this is a very interesting analysis, and the next aspect of food is the this one is, so the gross aspect is rejected from the body. The medium part is that which makes our physical body get the flesh, and the subtle part of it is the psychological. This is how they divided. So anything that you eat has got something to reject, something to convert itself into a physical matter further, and something becomes a subtle one, psychological. Our Gurudev also would say in his writings that how the food is procured is also important. If somebody had supplied or served the food to you with some amount of anger or frustration, that very frustration also going to affect the subtle part of your mind. The food affects the mind when it is served with some kind of hatred. And also when somebody eats meat, for example, the animal that has been sacrificed, that has been killed, so I don't want to use that word kill, but anyway, if it is killed, and while the emotional disturbance and trauma that the animal had gone through is also becomes a part of the solid food. And therefore, when we eat that, our mind gets disturbed as well, influenced by that suffering which that animal had gone through. Because when the animal had gone through that suffering, that is recorded. Impression has taken place in the food itself, in the mamsa or the flesh or the meat itself. And that when we eat, there is the effect or the influence of that. The next one is the water. Anything liquid that is also considered as food. So the water also goes through the three aspects. That is, the gross aspect of the water is urine, medium is the blood, medium part, and the subtle part of the water is prana, or what is known as vital air, the breathing. The kind of air, the ability to breathe, the energy of breathing, that is called prana. Prana is not just the air that we breathe, but the energy that is passing through every parts of the body, especially the 6 chakras or 6 power plexus that we have in our body, from all the way down to above in one straight line. 6 power points are supposed to be according to Yoga Shastra, so through which the energy moves. So water converts itself into urine at the grossest level, so that is rejected. And it itself is a part of the physiological personality, which is the prana, which is the life force or the power. And then the physical aspect of the water becomes the blood. So this is about the liquid. Then comes the fire aspect. So according to the science of Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad says the oil is not necessarily physically an oil itself, but anything that contains oil also. Like any nut that you take is potentially oil. Some of the leaves are oil. Some of the spices are oil. So the oil, the grossest portion becomes the bone. It strengthens the bone. Oil strengthens the bone. Also, the medium part of the oil becomes marrow, and the subtle aspect becomes speech. So oil converts into become fire first. The fire reinforces the bone, converts itself as marrow, and it is said the fire is the one in our body. The heat in the body is responsible for the ability to speak, according to Upanishads. So this way we say fiery speech, which means that he has expressed more of that energy through his speech. So again, here also the physical aspect and the physiological aspect and the physical aspect. Two of them physical, bone and the marrow. One is very external, outside, and another one is marrow, which is internal. So thus we see, according to this Upanishad, food is not just what we perceive it as. it is very subtly analyzed, and how much of influence the food has in psychological, physical, physiological systems, and that helps us to understand the role of food in our journey towards meditation. Now, how meditation is going to be affected by food, that we will see now. Now we will come to the uh, daily routine of what, how, and when we should eat. Meditation is not for a person who is indulging too much in eating. Excessive indulgence in food disturbs concentration. Number one reason is that when a person is uh, thinking about food and indulgence in food, the mind is not available for person, and very often that person would be starving or looking for food. Even though physically one is not hungry, most of us eat food because of psychological demand. When you go to a restaurant, you are not only going for fulfilling or taking care of your hungry stomach, but looking for a tasty food. So tasty food versus healthy food is what we need to understand. So we most of the times satisfy our psychological demand for food than physical demand. And that's the reason why when we see food, we get hungry. When you see food, you get hungry, it is psychological. When you are hungry and go for food, then it is physical. So this is one thing which you should basically understand. So just because food is there, you don't need to eat. Are you hungry? Then yes, you do. So excessive indulgence in food necessarily, definitely disturbs the concentration. So such a person needs to eat food whenever he gets bored, or when he or she is alone, or watching some TV or reading book he wants to eat. But reading book is a reading book. What has it got to do with eating? No, but many people, oh, I can't read unless I have something to munch on, or I can't watch TV unless something is there to eat or drink. I cannot drive the car without eating or without drinking some coffee, or I cannot attend a meeting with no coffee, without any coffee next to me, and all sort of things. And especially when you are traveling, the food comes, you are not even moved from your seat. You're sitting there for the 6 to 8 hours. Without any movement, you go on adding food to your body is a great, great danger to this body. So anyway, excessive indulgence is usually because of the psychological demand, not the physical need of the body. So next is the people go to the other extreme also. They starve the body, and thinking that from religious pretext also, some people say, oh, Monday I don't eat, and then Tuesday I don't eat, and Friday I don't eat. People go on fasting, but fasting is also to be done very intelligently. When fasting is done too often, the body knows that you are not going to eat food, so it will start storing. So most people grow fat in spite of fasting is because the body is not able to understand why you are doing. So if you have a regular what you call regiment of not eating at particular time, or eating a very limited quantity, the body adjusts itself. Otherwise, when you are haphazard, when you are not sure, when very infrequently you do the fasting or dieting for that matter, so to say, so then the body is not able to cooperate with you, and that is also not good. And a starving body is usually very weak, very fatigued, and that fatigued body or the fatigued psyche is not very conducive for meditation. So therefore, Krishna very clearly says, "Na ati ashnatastu yogosi, na cha ekantam anashnataha." For a person who excessively eats, for him also there is no meditation. The one who does not feed the body regularly for upkeep is also not ready for meditation. So we must not go to the extreme. Now, how much to eat is also an important thing. How much of food that you should eat. Our Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda writes in his commentary that according to Patanjali, one who has written the Yoga Sutras, he says half a stomach for food, third quarter for water, and the fourth quarter for the movement of air. This is a very intelligent way of allocating or the quantifying the food. So half a stomach for food. So the moment you know that you are feeling full, do not go for the next serving. I personally had been practicing this, that I will be served only once. Anything that you want to serve, only once. Once that one serving is over, do not go for the second serving. That doesn't mean the first serving itself you fill up the plate completely, which you cannot eat at all. No, not that. So you must judge what is the quantity that you will feel comfortable with. Don't go for the second serving. Don't go up, if it is especially for a buffet, put everything that you need, that you can eat, that you want to eat for that matter, then that you first fill up and then go back and sit. Never get up afterwards. So this kind of a physical discipline is very important for us to not only feel healthy, but also for longevity of the body. Because body is after all a machine kind of thing. If it also has got its own slowing down, its own wear and tear, and therefore you should understand that overly using the body's ability to digest will also cause trouble. So half a stomach for food, and then water is necessary for food to get processed. So one must regularly drink water to make sure that the third quarter is filled with that, and enough room for the food and the water to move. That is the movement of the air. So this is the ideal quantity of food that you should eat. So one also should understand that the body starts expanding as per the quantity of food that you put. So it is like a balloon where you keep on blowing, it will keep on increasing. In the same way, today you may have, let us say, you have 2 rotis, and tomorrow you decide to go for 3, and the 4th day 4, and 5th day 5, and 6th day 6. So the body would not say unless you stop it. So when you eat 6 rotis a day, 6 rotis in one meal, to that extent the body will accommodate. And then next time it will demand 6, because that is your capacity. Then if you increase further 7, 8, 9, and within a week's time or so or more, you are capable of eating 10 rotis a day or 10 rotis per sitting. Then what happens? The body will start demanding that much. You don't feel full unless you take 10. So if you are able to stop at 2 and every day at 2 rotis only, then within a month or so, when you eat the third roti, it will immediately feel, okay, this is too much. So the quantity is an intelligent observation of how much you would feel good about, and not how much your mind would demand. Or some people eat because saying, oh, I would not get food in the evening, or later part of the day I may not get, so let me fill it up. Which is the wrong thing, because once you fill up the body with food, which excessive food, the next time it will demand the same amount. So one must keep that in mind. So what you eat also decides how you think. This is an interesting observation from Bhagavad-Gita. In chapter 17, Krishna talks about that. I will just mention here a little bit. When we come to that chapter, we will see elaborately. What he says is that spoiled, tasteless, putrid, stale food is what is known as tamasic. The tamasic is the quality of the Prakriti, as we have said before. The quality of Prakriti is that which is lazy, lethargic, unproductive. So when you eat spoiled, tasteless, putrid, stale food, then it will make your mind very dull, little lethargic, lazy, sleepy, unproductive, wanting to do nothing, just wanting to lie down. and close your eyes and just do nothing. So this kind of an experience, if you have had after having had food, then you understand the food is not properly made. It is tasteless, not tasteless. Huh? That's a mistake in the spelling there. Anyway, so sometimes when you go to a hotel or anywhere else where you do not have much choices, and you say whatever is there, you start eating, then you will find that some of the things that you eat later on gives you a lot of trouble. So many times people ask this question to me after serving the food. Swamiji, how is it? Tell me, how is the food? I said, I can tell you only tomorrow. Because only tomorrow I will know the effect of your food. So what makes you dull? For example, when you take any alcoholic content, that will make you kind of lose your reality, become dull, you become confused, and kind of a different mind. It'll not be interested in what is going on. It has its own dreams. It starts blabbering. All these are all because of the kind of food that you have taken. If it had the content of drug or an alcohol, obviously that is tamasic food. So food has an effect on the mind. Similarly, the next category of food is extremely bitter, sour, hot, burning, sizzling. This kind of food is also liked by many people, and that makes your senses and the mind go wild, uncontrollable, agitated, extrovert. And you will find people who are very busy people, very outgoing, are those people who like this kind of food. They want the hot or very sour, burning, or very stimulating food. Like coffee, for example, is a stimulant. Why? Because it makes your mind get true extrovert, agitated, disturbed, wanting to do something, because it creates such an energy. It has to be ventilated some way or the other. So this kind of food is referred by Krishna as rajasic. The very word rajas means shine, shine, or more towards being extrovert. So that is the kind of food which extroverted people like. And if you eat this kind of food very often and watch your own mind, you will realize, oh, why am I so disturbed? Why am I so agitated? Why am I restless? It's because there is an effect of the rajasic food in your body. And that also obviously has an effect in the way you think. Then the third category, which is called sattvic, which are fresh, properly cooked food, and they are agreeable to your body. This food is called sattvic. So agreeable to your body means some kind of allergies would be there that may not be suitable to your body, or you are not able to digest some of them properly, creating gas, etc. That also can disturb your practice of meditation. So you should watch what are the things that will disturb my physical body's health, or I'm unable to digest. They can be avoided, and agreeable food can be taken, and see that whether it's properly cooked or not. If it is half cooked, or especially salad, etc., sometimes when they are not cleaned properly, it can really lead to a lot of problems, stomach problems, because there may be some worms, some of the insects there which are not properly washed, especially in some of the restaurants who are the roadside restaurants, not properly, the hygiene is not maintained. When you go to India and the roadside food, then you eat, and afterwards it creates a lot of trouble. So these are all not hygienic. So sattvic food means properly cooked, fresh, possible, and best is the fresh vegetables that are available in the market, fresh fruits, etc. Now, why it is important in the meditation? Because it makes you feel very lively, healthy, active, peaceful. So the food that can give longevity of life, feeling so lively, healthy, those are very much helpful in meditation, because when you sit down, you don't want disturbances, neither from the body nor from the mind. And what is that? Next one is that when should you eat? Eating should be at regular intervals. Don't eat a very heavy breakfast and don't not eating till almost till the late night. Uh, and or also some people go on starving the whole day, and the night when they come they just fill up to the neck. This is also not right. They have a set pattern of eating, regular intervals, and that is one thing. Second is you must eat consciously, very slowly, because they say that if you chew well and eat, you will eat less. Because the mind demands, along with the body, it also craves for food. The moment body is hungry, the mind also accompanies it, and then it looks for the food. Now, when the mind is creating a demand for the food, and if the demand is immediately met, huh, so with fast eating, so fast food, I'm not talking about the fast food by food itself, but eating fast. What happens is when you eat fast, you don't even know how much quantity you ate. And so when you eat fast, you invariably you eat more. But on the other hand, if you take time to chew slowly, mindfully when you eat, even when you eat less, the mind feels content because you spend enough time in eating, and that makes the mind feel okay, I have had enough. Even though you might have had only half a stomach as prescribed before, but the mind feels, oh, I spent almost 30 minutes eating, so it must be enough. So it's a psychologically you are making the mind feel full, while the body also had taken required quantity of food and not too much. So eating regular intervals slowly and mindfully is also helpful in keeping your inner self quiet and calm, which is very important for practice of meditation. That's why Bhagavan Krishna says, Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Yukta ahara. Yukta ahara means the correct food for a sufficient quantity and in a very quietly, calmly, peacefully, mindfully engaging in eating will help you in making your meditation a destroyer of sorrow. Now let's now move on to the next important adjustment that we have to do for meditation. That is work and sleep. Bhagavan Krishna mentions in Gita three aspects of our personality which are necessary to be adjusted for effective meditation. We have seen the first one, that food that we eat. Now that is the incoming aspect, the food that is taken from outside to in. So now work is what to do with the energy that you have gained out of eating food. So one is ahara, another is called vihara. The Sanskrit word ahara means that which comes in, and vihara means that which goes out. So coming in is the food, going out is work. So this is how he mentions the energy that comes in and energy that goes out. How do you manage these two? So this is where people ask this question. Many often I get this question from people. Swamiji, what kind of food or how much I have to eat? What decides it? Is it the stage of life? For example, if it is a small child, it doesn't need as much as a teenager would take, or a youth will take, or an adult will take, right? So a small child does not require as much of food as you and I do. Yet you will find the child is more active than you and I. It will be running here and there the whole day and will not get tired. And when it gets tired, no matter what, it'll sleep. Even by, if you've seen your own brother or sister when you are growing up, you have seen the younger one, they go to sleep at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Maximum they will stay up to 7, 8. And then they will have 10 hours of sleep. Next morning at around 6 o'clock or even 12 hours of sleep, 8 o'clock they will wake up. And then again they start running. And the amount of food that they eat is very less. Now, why is that? Even though they are eating less, their output is more. It's because their output is not disturbed by mind. Their physical energy is undisturbed. Whereas you and I, we may be eating more, but our tiredness of the mind is more. Because our mind spends more energy thinking, more energy in worrying, and therefore, definitely there is a expenditure of energy, but not in physical one. Okay, you take the case of a teenager, a growing boy. Such a boy or girl would take more than a young child would do, and that he also is not that active as the child, not as worried and as engaged in the mind as well, but such a person also requires enough amount of food. This is for physical growth. The boy is growing, the girl is growing, and the body requires that much of food, energy to grow itself. Now comes an adult or youth, an adult who has stopped growing beyond 20. So their intake of food is more or less like that of a teenager. But the teenager sometimes will have more food than even a youth or an adult because they need it for the body's growth. But once you have become an adult, the food is directly translates into mental energy. More than physical energy that a teenager or a young child will spend in, we spend more energy not in the physical activity. Unless you are going for trekking and jumping and swimming and many other things, then yes, of course, you are spending a lot of energy. But at some point of time, when you become 20, 25, when your professional work is more, you are working in an office environment, you are not running and going around every day. Maybe you do it in the weekends. But if you are a person who's working and mostly desk work, you are near the computer and then talking and meetings and other things, physical work is less, mental work is more. So, Krishna says that the intake of energy through food and output of energy through work, this needs to be balanced. Therefore, if somebody asks how much food I should take, it depends upon what kind of a work you are doing. If you are a worker who is working some 10 hours a day outside in the world, outside in the as an agricultural land, you are plowing the land and taking food from here to there and then carrying heavy loads of things, then yes, your work should be, your food should be more in terms of intake of food and the quality of food and then quantity of food, all those things matters when you are spending so much of energy. But most of us who are not like that, we have to keep track of the work versus the food that we take. Now, apart from intake of energy through food and output of energy through work, there comes a stage of how much rest you give to your body also. So three aspects: incoming energy, outgoing energy, restful state. These three are focused by Krishna. Now let us look at the work. How the influence of sleep and work practice in the practice of meditation. Now, when it comes to work, we must recognize that I have already talked to you about that. Work is to be done as nowadays people, they say hard working is less suggested than smart working. Smart working means you are completing your task that is given to you, but the amount of effort that you put is very intelligent. Time is the same, but you get more things done in short period of time. Obviously, we have many gadgets nowadays to make ourselves efficient, but the managing of those equipments or various facilities that you have, gadgets that you have, plus how well you use them, what you use and how well you use them. So now you see, first and foremost thing is we must prioritize what we want to complete in a day. This is also a smart decision. Not everything is important at the same time. What is important to be completed today versus what can wait till tomorrow. This nobody can prioritize. You alone can. If you have a project that is coming up which needs to be completed tomorrow evening, you start working now. Don't wait till tomorrow evening, because then it will become a big stress. Now you start thinking about it at least. So prioritize. Okay, this is important to me. I have to complete it tomorrow evening. Now, how much time I would need? Calculate that, and how much time I have. So versus time needed versus to time I have. So now that if that is important to me, then that is the priority number one. There may be other things that I need to fulfill, but then if they can wait, then I obviously spend less time there. Second, focus. We must have the continuous attention upon things. This is where the external practice of focus helps you in internal practice of contemplation. So how long you are able to focus on a given task without any disturbance, and what are the various aspects, that the various things that are necessary for accomplishing the task. Say, like for example, just a very gross example, if you are ready to cook food, that if that is the work that you are able to do, then all the ingredients necessary for that needs to be planned and procured and kept ready. Suddenly, after you switch on the stove or switch on the gas stove, and then suddenly you will find that oil is not there and you have to get it from the shop, then you are wasting your time. Then switch off the gas and then go, and then come back, and then you have the oil in your hand. Suddenly you will find that vegetables are not there. So that is a messed up kind of a handling of the task. The messy person, a person who is unorganized, will spend a lot of time. He may be going back and forth, busy, sweating, doing a lot of things, but that is not smart working. So smart working requires you to prioritize, plan, and focus on what you're doing with all the available, all the required things for accomplishing the task at hand. Next, when a task is given to you by someone else, or you have taken up something to do, you give a time limit to yourself. This particular task requires, let us say, 60 minutes of my attention or 2 hours of my attention. All right. But if I see that I am not able to move ahead with the task in the first 30 minutes, it's better change the task and do something else. Don't waste your time. And then you can come back. You can come back when you are clear about how to go about. But if you are sitting and brooding about the same thing over 30 minutes, 1/4 of your time allotted for that is gone. This is not smart working. This is called, even if you are sitting there thinking very hard, it's a hard working all right, but you have not achieved anything. So, like for example, if somebody had to dig some on the ground, first thing he has to do is test how hard is the floor, how hard is the sand. If it is too hard, then pour some water and go somewhere else. Pour some water and wait for 30 minutes and do something else and come back. By the time the soil has become loosened, and then you can easily dig it. So don't wait for those 30 minutes looking at the water, nothing else. Why? I am working. You are not working. You are wasting. You see? So a task that requires 2 hours, don't waste that 1/4 of the time in thinking about what to do. So that kind of ability to at once recognize the difficulty that is in front of you, then moving away from the task to accomplish something else, and give some time to think and then come back and come again, finish that. That is smart working. As a student, and most of you think that night is the best time to do your work. I'm telling you, this is completely wrong. Daytime is when you have the max energy. The sun outside provides you a lot of energy at that time. So use the daytime to complete most of your important tasks. Don't keep them waiting till the late night. You know why? Because late night, not only your energy is low, sun is also not there to give an external power to you. And also, you see, when you postpone a thing till night and it is to be accomplished next morning, you are running, you are stressed, you are already tired. During the day, you have done so many other things, and then come to the main task in the night. You don't have the energy, and the time factor is putting a pressure on you. You will not be able to accomplish much. So, therefore, think about what needs to be accomplished before the night. Before night, I should complete it. See, I have seen myself, I might have not done the complete task. I might have finished up to 70% of it. Because that day I could do only that much. But then when I go to sleep and then get up next morning, I have enough energy to complete the 30% of the work that is pending. If you start only in the night, where do you end? By the midnight or even the late morning, early morning of next day, you are still not able to complete that. Then you do not have rest. So use the daytime to complete most important task and don't keep it till the night. So that is smart working. When it comes to communication, write short emails to the point. When you write to the point, only the person who is receiving also write only to the point. This is a magic that works. If you write, first of all, it's 30, 40 lines of email, the other person who is reading, first of all, gets very bored. What is he trying to say? What is she trying to communicate with me? So, first 2, 3 lines, you have already completed your communication. Then you may want to write something else if you here and there. But you must, the main purpose of the communication should be accomplished in first 2, 3 lines. And if you could do that, then further lines are not necessary. Don't tell an elaborate story of so many things before you come to the point what you want to say to the other person. So write short emails. That will not only save time, but also you will get reply which requires only that much of attention. That is smart working. Clear your desk as often as possible. This is also important because once you start accumulating papers and other things on your table, you do not know which one is important and which one is not. So when you every day clear the table and see, hey, these papers are necessary for tomorrow's work, let me keep it in one place. These papers are not necessary for at least for a week, it can wait, keep it aside. And what is immediately needed, keep it closer to your work table, so that you are able to access it when it is required and then complete it. Once that is over, keep them away because that should not get confused with any other thing. So this way your table needs to be organized as often as possible. This is smart working. Do not engage in browsing the web, etc. while working. Meaning it will take your attention away from what you're doing, and something which you are seeing may be very interesting. It may be related to your work, but then you get carried away. And then suddenly you find what you are supposed to accomplish, you have not done. So browse only in breaks. So also, see, the amount of effort that you put is important, but knowing where to make an effort makes all the difference. So that is why keep track of where you put most of your efforts and evaluate efforts versus outcome constantly. I have put this much of time and this much of efforts to this. Let me analyze how much of outcome I got out of it. And if I had put less time and got the same outcome, then why do I need to spend so much time there? It is like when you speak, when the other person can easily understand what you say, you don't need to speak too much. If there is a person who does not understand what you're saying, you may have to spend more time and more verbiage for that person. But if another can understand quickly, then you say less and accomplish the same thing. So also with work. If you put required amount of effort and accomplish the task, It is like, the example goes, if there is a glass on my table, and if I have to take it from where it is to put it aside, I need less energy. Whereas if it is a huge book which I need to move from one table to another, I need a greater amount of energy. And if I have to move a table full of things to another room, I require further greater energy. Not only me, I need hands of many hands to do the same task. So also you must evaluate effort versus the task, and make sure that the amount of effort that you put in a task is appropriate. That requires you to think and observe and evaluate constantly, and that is called smart working. So Krishna says yukta cheshtaha, meaning putting forth required amount of effort only in any task helps you save a lot of energy for meditation. So next topic that Krishna would focus is sleep. That is the rest that we need to give to our body and the mind. Many people misunderstand meditation to be sleep or sleep to be meditation because they look same. When you are lying down and doing that, it is sleep, and getting up and sitting straight and doing that is meditation. That's what people think. But meditation is totally a different thing than giving rest to the body and the mind. So now, sleep is rest for the mind than for the body. This you should know, because when you are sleeping, your body is still working. You are breathing, you are growing, blood circulation is on, physical body is undergoing the change. It also feels, it has the sensitivity to respond to external conditions. Only thing is, it is working at the minimum level. But what actually is taking rest is the mind in sleep, in deep sleep, I mean, not at the time when you are dreaming. So there are two aspects or two things that they say about sleep. One is called NREM sleep, another is called REM sleep. Rapid eye movement is called REM. Non-rapid eye movement is called NREM. We start our getting into sleep process with NREM, which means your eyes are not moving, and that is when you are actually getting ready to go to sleep. Some lucid state of dream is there. There are actually 5 steps in sleep. I am not going into that, but just to give you an idea, more or less the first 4 steps are NREM, non-rapid eye movement, where the mind is slowly it is getting out, reorganizing the memory of your daily experiences for easy recollection. It is reorganizing slowly. That is called lucid state. And so then it further moves on to the deep sleep state. But deep sleep state is also constantly interrupted by REM, rapid eye movement. That's when you get certain amount of disturbance. Then again it goes to non-rapid eye movement, NREM. Then again comes back to REM. So the last part of the sleep is coming in and out, in and out. All right. So sleep is when the mind actually detaches from the body. It leaves the body to itself, and the mind, if you call it as the inner personality, the thought personality, it is just being quiet, not engaging in any activity related to the body and any activity related to the experiences or memories. So slowly it detaches from the body, and according to Vedanta, sleep is when the soul rests within the causal body. We have seen this, what is this causal body? Causal body is, according to Vedanta, is the Vasana Maya Kosha, the kosha or the sheath that has the impressions of the past. That is, the deep-rooted impressions of the past many lives are there in that condition, and the mind goes and takes rest there without knowing that content of that. That's why it is called ignorance. When one wakes up from the sleep, if you ask, what have you experienced during the sleep? He will say nothing. I was thinking about nothing. I was feeling nothing. I was doing nothing. I was not seeing or doing, walking or talking. So where is the mind then? Where exactly the mind? Is it absent? So if, see, a thing cannot be absent, it can be absent in a place. It cannot be absent to itself. If it is absent, it is not here, it is somewhere else. So the mind merges, so to say, in the causal body. In Vedanta, that's what we say. It is losing its individuality and merging into the ocean of impressions. And then when you wake up, means it again comes back alive, because it's only settling down to a laya sthiti, a state of no activity. It is not gone, it is not disappeared, it is only in a state of non-activity. So for which the first stage is where it detaches from the body and slowly getting into the state of non-activity. So this state of non-activity is what is referred as deep sleep. So now there is the institute of, or the studies that have shown about sleep, various institutions have done work. They recommend that for an adult, for a young adult, for example, the number of hours that a young adult should sleep is 7 to 9 hours. If it is less than 7, it is called deprivation, and the lesser and lesser, more and more the body will show symptoms. And oversleep is also not good. That's why Krishna says, na ati ashnadasti yogosti, na cha ekanda manashnataha. And the same way, na cha adi swapna shilasya yogo, na the adi swapna and shila. So one who is over sleeping, one who is depriving his sleep, is also not ready for meditation. So here the young adult is given 7 to 9 as ideal time, ideal number of hours to sleep, whereas for adult also 7 to 9 hours. But for an older adult, it is 7 to 8 is sufficient. For young teenagers and much younger ones require 8 to 10 or more number of hours. So these 7 to 9 hours should be continuous. Not, okay, 3 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and 4 hours in the night. No. That is not the right thing. It is like, I'll tell you, when you are cooking food, you are put everything in the pressure cooker, and let us say halfway through the cooking, you open it and put more things, and then again close it. And after some time, again you open it and could put more things. Then it will not cook at all. In the same way, the rest actually takes place only when you give continuously 7 to 9 hours. I know that as a student, as a busy professional, you will not have that much time, but as much as possible, maintain 7 hours at least for your sleep. Lack of sleep will make you quickly get tired during practice of meditation and daily routine as well. So sleep is a very important aspect of keeping our body, mind healthy, which are useful for a healthy meditation, achieving healthy meditation through contemplation. So these are the things that we saw today, that is food, work and sleep. So next class we will see more teachings from Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 6. And you can have the discussion the following week now. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.